Yes, they were just two words, Wakanda forever. But in so many ways, they summed up centuries of struggle. And the world first heard them in the game-changing movie Black Panther, the first superhero film ever nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. But Black Panther was so much more than just a movie. It was a movement, a cultural moment that changed everything before it and after it. And for many, Chadwick Boseman was the man. Here's Byron Pitts.
Epic by every measure.
We are home.
Size, scale, impact. Black Panther didn't simply shatter box office records. It broke boundaries.
It was a moment of collective celebration because of the story itself, but also because of Chadwick, the significance of it, the brilliance of it, the elegance of it. He did all of that.
At the premiere of Black Panther, Chadwick and I saw each other right before the curtains rose and the film was going to start, and we embraced each other. And I said to him, I cannot wait to share this movie with the world. And he kind of leaned in and whispered to me in that soft voice of his, and he said, I can't wait to change the world.
And change the world it did.
Wakanda forever!
Wakanda Forever became a rallying cry for millions who finally could see a superhero on screen who looked like them. This video going viral of Atlanta students dancing when they were told they'd be going to see the movie.
This was a film that was being treated with the same respect and thoughtfulness as a Captain America and an Iron Man. And that was a gift to a generation of children who normally would have never gotten to see something like that before.
I say that he was a star, but also a shooting star, because he lived his life in such a way that, you know, forever kids who see him in that Black Panther role and see a reflection of themselves embodied in everything that he intended, you know, they get to dream about and wish about and make wishes on that shooting star that was Chadwick Boseman.
Chad was my brother. And I mean that in the sense of there's obviously, you know, brother in the sense of being, you know, African-American man in America. But the brotherhood that I'm really speaking of is Howard.
When he spoke at commencement at his beloved alma mater, he reflected on a role he thought played into stereotypes.
I was conflicted. Howard had instilled in me a certain amount of pride, and for my taste, this role didn't live up to those standards.
Chad was a very, very conscious dude, you know, and he would not, he wasn't the kind of cat that felt like he had to take a role to make a living. His art was an extension of that struggle. And so he wasn't gonna take something that wasn't gonna embody it. He wasn't gonna take anything that embarrassed him, embarrassed his people, embarrassed his community. That just wasn't him.
He would play smaller roles until he finally got the chance to embody a real-life hero, Jackie Robinson, in 42.
I didn't come here to make friends. I don't even care if they respect me. I know who I am.
When you play someone who lives so courageously, you're able to sort of rise to the occasion in a way because you play someone who does that. It gives you a sense of courage.
Chadwick played great men, and he was a great man, and bringing real-life characters to the screen with such amazing nobility and humor and humanity, and that's why he was the only choice. The only actor we ever discussed to play T'Challa was Chadwick Boseman.
He brought royalty. He brought royalty. It's not easy to play a king. He brought a regal spirit, you know, and he always had that.
Ready, go!
Black Panther would be the role of a lifetime for Boseman, a work of art that wasn't colorblind, but rather color-brave, reimagining what it meant to be a warrior, a hero, a king.
I watched this movie and I see all these black people, and so in some ways it seems intentionally black. But by the end of it, it's sort of coincidentally black.
Universal story. It's a universal story.
Universal story. Yeah, and the truth is, you know, art can do that. I grew up, man, I grew up loving comic books, man. A lot of my comic books I read, it wasn't a black face to be found. You know, our story is about a man who's taking on a responsibility that he does not feel ready for. You know, I can't think of a more universal story. Everybody goes through that.
You've portrayed major figures in American history, groundbreaking figures, Jackie Robinson, James Brown, Thurgood Marshall. How does Black Panther fit into that? Right, because those were all men who changed history.
Right.
Who changed not only how people saw themselves, but how other people saw them.
I certainly wouldn't be here if it were not for those men that I portrayed, you know, because of what they did in their lives and what the doors that it opened for me. So when I'm walking through the lab and I'm feeling myself because I'm king and I'm with, you know, my sister, there's a little bit of James Brown. When I'm holding court, there's a little bit of Thurgood Marshall.
The power of the Black Panther.
And for generations to come, young men, in particular those of color, may stride a bit bolder with a little Chadwick Boseman in them. He didn't simply exude gravitas, he exemplified grace and grit along with it, not only in his career, but in his final hours.
Film like Black Panther, you know, Chad was articulating as only he could, you know, the humanity of black folks. And that's what this is all about. You can't shoot a man in the back unless you believe they're, you know, subhuman or not human at all. What Chad was in the work of doing was communicating black humanity through black heroism, but primarily black humanity. And he was peerless in his ability, you know, to do it in his chosen field. And he's gone. And so that's a huge loss. That's a huge, huge loss.
You watch movies to walk in the shoes of the protagonist or the hero, but it's not just me playing it, it's also you watching it. And I think that's, you know, I feel blessed to have had the opportunity to do that.